This is Season 7, Episode 142 of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.
Sometimes the important thing is not the number of miles you've driven, but what's going on inside your head while driving. The Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast will stimulate your mind and keep you company while on the road. Join us for education, motivation, and inspiration from wherever you may be in our nation. You'll hear roundtable discussions about important information that's impacting our industry. Plus, you'll learn more about new technology, equipment, driving opportunities, safety, and operations. Get driver success and fitness tips to keep you profitable, safe, healthy, as well as entertaining stories from the road. And don't you know, we've all got a few of those. We might be traveling in different directions, but we're all part of one driver community at the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast with your host, Trucker Tim Cicciarelli.
Hello once again and welcome to episode 142 of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. Your friend Tim Cicciarelli here, otherwise known as Trucker Tim, and coming up a little bit later in this episode, I will be talking to one of my favorite people at Stevens Transport, a delightful guy, and a guy that's going to tell you how if you're a driver, you can make some extra money by becoming a trainer. He's going to go over the qualifications and what's required of you, both personally and professionally, to make some extra dough. Our Stevens Senior Safety Supervisor, Mr. Jim Kent, joining us a little bit later. We also have a team driving spotlight, a husband and wife team. It's some audio pulled from a video you can find on our Stevens Transport YouTube channel. That's on the way. We also have a safety tip from Terrence Burgess on how to prevent low clearance accidents. But we'll kick this episode off now. For those of you who are thinking about starting your own fleet, perhaps, let's learn about all the resources Stevens Transport offers for those of you who want to become an entrepreneur on our Stevens Roundtable. So if you found this podcast looking for a job, perhaps you want to be a driver, you want to be a company driver where you go to work for Stevens Transport and you get a W-2, or you have more of an entrepreneurial spirit, you want to run your own company, you want to start your own fleet, Stevens Transport has you covered there as well. As a matter of fact, not only do they have that division, the contractor division, but they've got people here that will ensure you're successful. People that know how to run a business. You might be thinking, yeah, I'd love to have my own business, but I don't know how to do it. We have people here that can show you exactly how to do it and stay on top of you. And somebody who can do that for you is Jake Raich. Jake, thanks for being with us in the podcast. Good to meet you both.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
You've been familiar in the contractor division for quite some time, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I've been here for 2 years now. I was a contractor driver manager first, and then I've transitioned to a business advisor since
Business advisor now, but starting out as a driver manager.
Correct.
For the contracted drivers. That helps you understand their plight because you were dealing with a lot of stuff with each of these drivers. You were their lifeline, weren't you?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you knew you would speak to them about business issues as well as truck issues and anything that went on for a contracted driver. You were their lifeline, like I said.
Correct. Anything that had to do with their business, for sure.
All right. So you got a promotion, it sounds like.
Yes, I did.
When did that happen?
September.
All right. So at the time of this recording, you're a few months in.
Yes, sir.
As a business advisor. Tell us a little bit about that transition for you. What is your business acumen? How does one become a business advisor?
Yeah, no, it's a great opportunity because as a driver manager, you're focusing more on operations, the day in, day out stuff. If you're wanting to become an entrepreneur and start your own successful business, right, you need to have the business aspects as well. Payment cycles, your expenses, revenue. Taxes, man. They forget about 1099s, right? It's not a W-2.
Right.
You know, you need people with that. You need advice on that kind of stuff. You need to, really focus on that stuff if you want to succeed, right? So,
well, most people that start their own business, they have to pay somebody to do that for them.
It is a free resource. I tell them all the time, hey, I am a free resource. Use me when you can.
Play that back. Hit that button on your whatever device you're listening to this podcast for, unless you're listening while you're driving, to go back 30 seconds and hear that again. It is a free resource.
Yes.
to be successful.
Absolutely. You know, I tell the guys all the time, my position's literally business advisor. I advise you on the best practices of your business. As long as you keep me in the loop, I can help you out. You know, a lot of business owners, they like to keep to themselves. How can I help you at that point?
What do you think some of those reasons are that they keep to themselves? My guess would be that they might be a little embarrassed that they're not doing it right.
Exactly.
Okay, that is it?
You know, it's just hard for them to ask the questions. They would rather just fight it by trial by fire.
Don't do that.
Right.
This free resource will save you thousands and thousands of dollars and help you get to your goal a lot faster, I am sure.
I agree. I do.
So if you would, for those that are thinking about going down that route to start their own business and maybe their own fleet someday, what are the top 3, I don't know, new to contracted drivers, things they need to know?
First and foremost, and I tell this to everybody, is no one's going to be on top of your business. No one's going to be on top of your money more than you, right? So you always want to ensure things yourself. You know, a lot of processes, Stevens has a lot of processes in place to ensure things are done accurately and successfully. But as your own business, you want to ensure those things are still according. They're still doing things right. What are
some of those things?
So in the sense of just ensuring that, you know, whatever is owed to you is getting paid, you know, to specific jobs, because it's a very case-by-case scenario. If someone offers you money to do one thing, you want to ensure that money's being given in a, you know, a reasonable amount of time, and people are true to their words. You're getting, you know, things in black and white writing to ensure, like, a business contract, right? You were contracted with STCD. You want to be contracted with everything and everything you do. You want to keep receipts. You want to ensure just reimbursements on everything.
So keeping receipts, something that simple, so it seems.
It's so simple,
but it might crucial. Not be, especially if you're thinking of those little paper receipts. But nowadays, there's so many apps, or maybe you even have something here, Stevens, I don't know, where that you can save all of those receipts.
Right. We do have a program, Vector, that allows you to just scan in, even if it's a screenshot of a receipt,
Beautiful.
even if it's on the NAB. Or you have a paper receipt, you can just take a picture of it.
That way your cab's not littered with receipts and fast food wrappers,
exactly.
right?
And we advise them that, hey, it doesn't matter if it's a McDonald's, you know, if it's not reimbursable, it might be taxable, right? You want to have your own tax.
Better to have more than
less.
not.
Exactly, 100%. So, you know, things like that. You want to be on top of your situation, whether it just Fantastic. Be, you know, separate additional pays or the miles that you're getting, the utilization you put upon yourself. You know, it's really on you. It is your business. It's how you succeed.
Well, I asked you the top 3 things, I guess.
Okay.
That's me. I led you down a rabbit hole because there's so many things when you're running a company.
Exactly.
But you said basically kind of stay on top of your money.
Oh, exactly.
Okay, 100%. That's one.
You want to have like a safety net for your resources, a safety net for your business. I always advise that, you know. And
you mean insurance? So what do you mean? Or savings?
You do have insurance. You get like, I think we offer 6 different types of insurances, like 3 are mandatory and 3 optional. So, you know, depending on, you know, the kind of risk you're wanting, you can choose that. But I'm thinking more of like a safety net of resources, allocation for home time, allocation for your family, your, you know, things of that nature, because they don't understand. I think the real caveat here is that it is your own business and it can do very successful, but you're your only employee as of now.
Yeah.
Until you have your own fleet and your own drivers, you are the only employee. So if you're stopping that business, whether it be for a day or a weekend,
you're not making any money.
You're losing money.
That's
you
right.
know, so you absolutely want to be on top of that. You want to know your fixed expenses. You want to know your expenses daily. You want to know your allocation of resources to combat that stuff. These are things that you actually need to focus on before you want to jump into something like that, you know, because it's business. It can really hurt you if you don't.
In many ways. I mean, not just in your income, but like we mentioned, taxes earlier as well, too.
Exactly.
That's a whole other animal. Do you have tax recommendations or do they have accounting available here at Stevens? How does one move forward with that?
We have bookkeeping services. It allows you to essentially just grab all your receipts and send it off to our bookkeeping team, and they will create a P&L for you.
Profit and loss statement.
Profit and loss statement, correct. And then that allows them to, we also advise them to get CPAs, right? We want them to have their own CPA. We do not have CPAs in
But you're prepping the paperwork for the CPA.
That's what I was about to say.
That'll save you money with your CPA.
Right. We hand them a bow and tie for their CPA. Here you go. Here's our bookkeeping team hands it all off to them.
Awesome.
And then it's, right off the gate as long as they have a CPA.
I might get rid of this podcasting thing and become a contracted driver for Stevens. I mean, it really does sound like a great venture, and one with, you mentioned safety nets, but contracted drivers have to have their own safety nets, but behind those safety nets is a big one that Stevens has for you. That's not available in most industries.
We have a bunch of free resources for them. Absolutely. You just gotta use them. You gotta allocate them just like your own.
Well, and so tell us a little bit about now the calls. There's something that's relatively newly implemented here in 2025, the 2 and 4 month calls. So those calls can help our contracted drivers be reminded of a lot of these things that you're talking about here today.
Sure, yeah. So every 2 and 4 months, we have, I guess, whenever you're on seniority of 2 and 4 months, we will call you and go over your data, your comparative averages. We compare the averages to all of the contracting fleet.
Amazing.
And compare you to them. So
you can see if you're underperforming or at par or even doing better than most.
Correct.
As well.
Absolutely. And so
the resources and the access to the data of every other contracted driver, that's amazing.
Right. It's daily, weekly. I even tell them, I'm like, hey, we have a 2 month call, we have a 4 month call, but realistically you can call up any other day and I can tell you where you're standing on your average. We absolutely know the averages at any time of the fleet. And they can know where they stand at it. And then really we go from there to then pinpoint their bottlenecks, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, if you're struggling on fuel, we want to see how much fuel you're hemorrhaging a month or a week or however much it might be, and what's causing that. Is there miles per gallon? Is your price point? Is it the quantity of fuel? So there's a bunch of that goes into that.
Everything that you're downloading on us right now, Jake, I can't imagine anybody that might be on the fence as to which company they want to become a contracted driver for. Why in the world would you not choose Stevens Transport? So as we wrap up our time together, it's been great to meet you. Thank you for really downloading a ton of great wisdom and information for our drivers. And congratulations on that new promotion a few months ago. It's Jake Raich.
Yes, sir.
Contracted driver business advisor. Thanks so much for being with us.
I appreciate you. Have a good day.
All right, shifting gears from possible entrepreneurship to safety. And this information applies to every single person behind the wheel, whether you're a contracted driver or a company driver. This from the desk of Terrence Burgess, our Stevens safety reminder. Let's talk about how to prevent low clearance accidents. Avoiding these types of accidents, of course, is crucial for the safety of both you and your vehicle. Simply put, these accidents typically occur when a vehicle with the height that exceeds the clearance of an obstacle attempts to pass under it. Now remember, taking these precautions and being mindful of your vehicle's height can reduce the chances of counteracting such accidents. So if you're unsure about the clearance of a specific area, it is always better to err on the side of caution and seek an alternative route. There's a quick safety reminder from Terrence Burgess, our safety supervisor, on the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.
Ever wondered what it's like to drive across the country and get paid to see America's breathtaking landscapes? Welcome to life as a team driver with Stevens Transport. The life of a trucker can sometimes feel solitary, but with team driving, you're never alone. Let's dive into how teaming up with another driver can transform your trucking career. So what exactly is team driving? Simply put, it's when two drivers share the responsibilities of operating the same truck. This allows for continuous travel and efficient delivery. Federal regulations require solo drivers to be off duty for at least 10 consecutive hours after 11 hours of driving. Team driving, however, maximizes productivity by alternating driving shifts, cutting down on overall trip times. By working in shifts, team drivers can cover over 5,500 miles a week. That's more than double what solo drivers can achieve, leading to more priority loads and higher earnings. Efficiency is key. With two drivers, tasks like loading and unloading become quicker and easier. Plus, you'll earn more per mile. One of the greatest perks? You get to choose your driving partner, whether it's a close friend or a new acquaintance. Having a partner on the road makes those long hauls more enjoyable. And what about rest? Team drivers sleep in comfy bunk beds while the truck is moving, allowing for nearly non-stop travel without sacrificing sleep. Safety is another major advantage. With two drivers, there's an added layer of oversight to ensure committed safety. So if you're ready to take your trucking career to the next level, consider team driving with Stevens Transport. It's the perfect blend of companionship, efficiency, and increased earnings. Explore the benefits of team driving and start your adventure today with Stevens Transport. Apply now and join a team that drives you to success. Your journey starts here.
Now more than ever, truck drivers are true American heroes. The men and women who literally keep America moving by delivering goods across the country. Being a professional driver is a rewarding, financially lucrative, long-term career filled with exciting adventures. A career where you'll never have to worry about job security. If you have your CDL and keep it up, it will sustain you for the long haul. You can see the country, serve your country, and provide a good life for your family. Whether you'd rather haul on a dedicated route or lane, or prefer working with one specific customer, if you want to own your business, we have a program that sets you up for success with all the tools and support you need. We've got opportunities in our intermodal rail division and have programs to help military veterans transition into trucking careers. We have second generations of drivers whose parents have driven for Stevens, who then trained their children and are now truck drivers. Some are even small fleet owners. So, whatever your dream is, you can achieve it right here at Stevens. If you're looking for a company with a 40-plus year track record that's never had a layoff and just had the largest pay increase in company history for both new and experienced drivers, Stevens Transport has you covered. We offer the finest tools and technology and provide our drivers with the best state-of-the-art equipment on the market. Our infrastructure will support you both on and off the road. As a driver for Stevens, you become part of our family. Many companies throw the word family around. We're family-owned, family-run, and family-driven. Our 40-plus years of success is built on family. At Stevens, you're not just a number. Our drivers are part of our extended family, and we recognize and honor them every chance we get. If you want to be among the top income earners among professional drivers, if you want great benefits, if you want to have every type of driving opportunity at your fingertips, if you want to be part of a company that will stand behind you and ensure your success, come join the Stevens Transport family today and become an American hero. So, what are you waiting for? Take the first step toward your future career with the best trucking company in America. Become part of the Stevens Transport family today by calling our recruiting department at 1-800-333-8595 or apply online at stevenstransport.com.
Welcome back to the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. My name is Tim Cicciarelli, otherwise known as Trucker Tim. If you wouldn't mind, when you hit your next stop, please follow or subscribe to this podcast from whichever podcast platform you're enjoying it from. We are everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible. If it's a platform with a podcast on it, we are there. And by following the podcast, you'll have a brand new episode waiting for you each and every week as soon as it's released. And if you wouldn't mind, please leave us a review. Tell us what you like about the show and what you'd like changed. We are producing this podcast for you to keep you educated, informed, and hopefully a little entertained as well. Well, just a couple of moments ago, you learned all of the benefits of becoming a team driver at Stevens Transport. Now we're going to spotlight a married couple who are team drivers. They've been driving together for 3.5 years and completed the largest lease in company history. This history-making pair initially worked long hours at other jobs and barely spent any time together, so they decided to start CDL training and soon after knew that they wanted to drive for Stevens Transport. This married couple's fantastic work ethic and good times have provided them with the success they're enjoying today. This is the story of Deborah and Kevin Wolf.
I'm Deborah Wolf, the better half. I'm a truck driver, been driving for Stevens for about 3.5 years, and we team drive, my husband and I, and it's been a blessing.
I'm Kevin Wolf. I'm the other half. Been with Stevens for about 3.5 years, 30 days less than she's been.
We we were working jobs with long hours at the time. I drove school buses and tour buses and 14-hour days and sometimes weekends, and he worked a job that went in the opposite direction. And so we never got to see each other. We weren't making any money, basically, for the amount of hours we were putting in. And I told Kevin one day, I got this wild here, and my youngest son had graduated from high school. And I told him, I said, if we're going to be on the road and working this many hours, we need to start making some money. So I decided to go ahead and start that summer. And then he found out a month later that he was able to, he had already had his tenure, he could retire at any time. So instead of it being a 4 or 5 month, which was originally supposed to be, he was able to just go ahead and leave at that time. And so he ended up joining me about 30 days later.
We live down the street from a truck stop, a new truck stop. So we go in to order some food at the Sonic, and she's telling one of our friends that works at Sonic that she's getting ready to go to truck driving school, and this young gentleman sitting at a table, he goes, well, have any of y'all ever considered Stevens? Didn't know anything about Stevens. And he gave us a spiel, it sounded thing, went straight home, pulled it up on the internet, and probably within an hour I said, that's where we're going. We finally first at something. We came in second as team drivers of the year, our second year on the street. We qualified for the next year, but we didn't make the cut. But yeah, we won a couple of Employee of the Month.
I just find it hard to believe that we got the highest, because to us it was not hard to do. You know, we come to work. We went to school to go to work. You know, we don't want to be camping out in our truck. We want to work. When we're on the road, we want to take complete advantage of everything that Stevens has to offer. So maybe it's just the patience and perseverance. I'm not sure.
When we bought the house, it had 5 acres. So I needed a tractor. And my dad has 3 acres at the house. He's always wanted a tractor. I bought a tractor. So he has the tractor. I haul it back and forth because he likes to get on. He's 88 years old, but he likes to drive the tractor. When we got up there, I said, man, I need a lawnmower. Got us a lawnmower. So I like cutting grass.
We like going to flea markets, thrift store, antique shopping. We enjoy stuff like that. We love going to older towns like Marshall and doing little weekend things like that. And then we always have big dinners with all the kids get together with us and everything. And we do that several times a year.
We've been married 25 years, but the last 3.5 years driving we spent more time together then than we have raising the kids, because we always had something going. Sometimes I'd have to go to this basketball game, she'd be going to a dance, or sometimes we'd get to go together, I was coaching, or she would be working, or just like, but we always, when we got this, after the first couple of months, it's like, wow, we've actually got to spend some time together, and every day we laugh. There's not a day goes by that we don't laugh.
We've never really ventured too far out away, but we have enjoyed a couple of parks here and there, enjoyed the countryside. I'd never had been around the United States growing up stuff, but I never had been. So a lot of these states were new to me, so just looking out the window was an experience for me. The mountains and the snow and stuff like that. So I didn't really need to go off anywhere to experience it in my mind. It's not just the money, it's the fact that we're together. We're able to do things now that we weren't able to do financially. We got the home of our dreams, that we really love. We're able to help our children with our adult children with the different things that they may need. So the whole thing's been a blessing, and we still love each other. So we still get along great. That's the biggest part. And if it caused problems between the two of us, it would not have been worth it.
And as you can tell, this is how we get along. She does the talking, I just smile.
It's not true.
That is audio from video you can find on our Stevens Transport YouTube channel. We'll have a link to that video in the episode notes. It was less than a year ago that we had the opportunity to get our next guest on the podcast for the first time. And we're more than 7 seasons deep, 140 plus episodes at the time of this airing. And we've enjoyed our conversations with everybody. But I do have to say, the first time our guest today joined us on the podcast, I believe it was in May of last year, just a delightful storyteller, a delightful man, and you can see why he's had such an amazing career at Stevens Transport, even though, if I remember correctly, with Mr. Jim Kent, our senior safety supervisor, this was not your first career, Mr. Jim, was it?
It was not. I thought I was going to be done after working on airplanes for 21 years.
Working on airplanes for 21 years, and if I remember correctly, owning a racetrack as well, too, right?
Yep.
And so, again, if memory serves me correctly, you were retired and living life, and your daughter decided to go to college.
That's correct.
And that's expensive.
That's very expensive.
So
I didn't realize it until I started getting bills, and I'm like, oh, my gosh.
Yeah, no, I'm getting those bills now. Yeah, they're not fun.
No.
And so you're like, all right, well, what can I do?
I was told I had to go do something. They said, you want to retire someday? Don't spend your money on college. Go to work.
Go to work. And you did so at Stevens Transport, and you had another life.
Yeah.
Really, right?
And it was a wonderful deal. I was kind of one of those guys that I wanted to do my research.
Yeah.
And I did, and Stevens came up on the top of everything, on the equipment, on the training, how long they've been in business, the whole works. And I'm like, well, that sounds like the place I probably should end up,
Yeah. Like any smart person would decide after all that
Right.
research. And how long have you ended up here?
I think I'm going on 15 years now.
That's a whole other career.
Yeah.
15 years.
I was figuring a couple.
Yeah, you were just trying to pay for
finish
college.
the college thing, and I'm good.
Yeah, but no,
Yeah.
you fit like a glove here.
When you're doing something that you love to do and you enjoy doing it, it's not really a job.
No.
I don't have a problem getting out of bed, coming to work. It's fun.
Because you love it. You love the people.
Well, in teaching,
Yeah.
that's where I think I excel more than anything, is watching somebody blossom that, you've helped out.
Yeah.
And now they have the opportunity to do things that they never would have had before because they were successful in driving a truck.
And having the right person showing them how to do it.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah.
And so, in addition to you having several successful careers and ventures, you now are showing other people how to train.
Correct.
Right? So now you're teaching the teachers.
Correct.
As it were.
Right.
So as senior safety supervisor, let's talk about training the trainer, because really you are so perfectly cast in this role. I mean, anybody who's had a chance to bump into you and talk to you for a few minutes, you have a very kind demeanor and someone that people like to be around. And so you're someone I would want to teach me something to. And so I imagine that really serves you well. And I know you're going to be humble, but it serves you well with these trainers. But what, aside from your personality, what's your secret sauce to training these people right?
Listening. Listening to what's happening with them. I trained here for a little over 10 years, so I've been through a lot of the stuff they've been through. Whether it's I'm having problems with the truck or the student or whatever. Just listening to them and then giving them good, honest feedback. Hey, this is what we should be doing
As a trainer. So we've got people that I love how with Stevens there are just a myriad of opportunities. We had the opportunity to speak to a class coming in at orientation this morning, and one of the things we told them was, you're excited about becoming a driver right now. But if and when that time comes when you need to come off the road or want to come off the road, and you do a great job while out there on the road, there are opportunities for you here at Stevens. And one of them is to become a trainer and make a little extra dough, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Huh? Yeah? So how's that process work then?
Well, what happens is you have to be here for solo driving for a minimum of 6 months. Okay? You have to have a full winter in. So we want you to be able to drive during the winter months.
Yeah.
Okay? You need to show that you have good, safe driving habits, that you don't have any kind of service failures, that you're just doing the right things, that you're driving good miles.
Yeah.
And once you do that, you just get a hold of us, and we approve you to be a trainer. We look at all of the records, talk to you, get you in a class, teach you how to become a trainer.
How long is that class?
That class is 4 days.
4 days.
Yeah, but they're long days.
I got you.
You know, they start at 8 o'clock in the morning. They're not done until 10 o'clock at night.
But really, I mean, a comprehensive and intensive training schedule, I would think easy to retain that information, and that really is a quick turnaround to get back out there and start making some additional money and then spreading your wisdom along.
Yes. You know, the training part of the classes is more about teaching how to train. You know, most of the people who come in to train already have the wisdom on how to drive the truck.
Yeah, they're good at it already.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. You know, and it's funny because, like, the first time they asked me to train, I'm like, huh?
It's a whole other skill set, isn't it?
I'm not a trainer. I said, I hardly know what I'm doing, I think. You know? And they said, and it was my trainer. He said, Jim, you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You just don't think you do.
Well, you did at least 6 months. You went through a winter. You had a nice, clean record.
Yeah.
You
Back
qualified.
then I was there for almost a year before I came in. And I thought, man, what do I know? I can't teach these people anything.
Is that what you teach them? Is that what you're training the trainers to do? Is how to actually teach? Yeah.
Because that's the key.
Yeah.
They already know the basics of the job.
How to do it.
How to do it. Now you can learn how to teach it.
Yeah.
And that's the key. You know, and to do that successfully, you have to have the attitude of, I want to see somebody blossom and be somebody that's going to become the next Stevens Transport Employee of the Year, Trainer of the Year, that kind of person.
Yeah.
You know, do all your students do that? No. But just to watch somebody that never did anything with their lives, you know, or never had the opportunity to come in here, and then now they can afford, and when they get into training, they can afford to take their wives on a vacation or buy a new car or a house, send their kids to college. Yeah. Those kind of things.
That really, in addition to being a great provider for your family or for oneself, if they don't have a family, that's okay. Exactly. But that just adds to your self-worth as well. Not just your net worth, but your self-worth as well. So that's more of what you're helping people accomplish by training the trainers. And I believe it's a very select few people that can do what you're doing. You have to have what we talked about at the beginning of this interview, of this conversation, that desire to want to watch somebody blossom. So I know Stevens is grateful to have you. We are always grateful to have you on the podcast to shed some of your wisdom. Anything you'd like to say to those out there who might be thinking, hey, maybe, you know, listen, I've been through a winter. I've done this for over 6 months. My record's clean. What would you say to them?
Well, you know, if you're interested in helping the next generation of truck drivers here at Stevens Transport, give me a call. You know, my extension's 1217. You can call me up. We can talk about it. I can tell you what you can expect, what you need to be doing, and we'll go from there. Awesome. You know, but if you're thinking about, you know, further in your career here at Stevens, training's a great opportunity. You know, to watch that person that you've trained for 6-7 weeks come back here and just excel at everything that you've taught them. And then when you see them, you know, I remember the first time that I was sitting in a trainer class, and I'd been here for a while and trained some students. There was a couple other trainers in there, and one of the new trainers, I was kind of mentoring him because I'd been through the class a couple times. Yeah. And he goes, hey, I want to introduce you to my trainer. And I'm like, cool, let's go meet him. Yeah. He's sitting out at the driver's lounge. So we'd walk out there, and he goes, this is Mike. I said, hey, Mike, how are you? He goes, I'm good, Jim. How are you doing? He goes, oh, you know Mike? I said, I trained Mike. He goes, oh, my gosh. He goes, you're my grandpa. And I'm like, hold on, man. No.
See, and it's the circle of life, as they say, right? It just keeps going as long as we have more people like Mr. Jim Kent, our senior safety supervisor and grandpa to some here at Stevens. Thanks so much for being with us, buddy.
Anytime.
All right, let's pump the brakes in episode 142 of the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast. If you found this podcast because you're searching for a brand new career, please make sure you visit the episode notes. We will have phone numbers and every link possible for you to learn more about Stevens Transport and even schedule a call with one of our recruiters. All the information is in the episode notes. And like we said earlier, please follow or subscribe to this podcast from whichever platform you're enjoying it from and share it with one of your fellow drivers. We sure would appreciate it. And finally, My name is Tim Cicciarelli, otherwise known as Trucker Tim. Thanks for joining me. And until next time, be safe out there. And thanks for listening to the Stevens Transport Roadside Radio Podcast.